The training aid I have in my hands is called the Connector from Sure Golf, and it's one of the hottest training aids in golf right now, being used by players such as Rory to improve their golf. If it can help Rory, then I'm pretty sure it can help you as well. I wanted to understand the benefits and the features of this training aid, so I'm going to go through all of those for you today to show you how you can incorporate the Connector into your practice across multiple areas of your game to see significant improvements. So before I hit any shots with this and show you how to incorporate it into your practice, I just want to show you what to expect when you take this out of the box. There's three main elements to the device. We've got the memory foam ball, which is the main part with the tapered edges, which is designed to sit between your arms. Not too dissimilar to other arm straight training aids like the smart ball or the structure ball that I've featured on the channel before. The primary purpose of this piece is to build better arm structure throughout the entire swing. But the addition of the two rods is what makes the Connector a little bit different. We've got this curved rod that goes through the middle of the ball, and then this small rod that points out the front of the device. These are going to enhance your ability to get your alignment correct when you set up, and also help you with your arm structure and arm and elbow positioning throughout the entire swing. These are the bits that make this training aid a little bit different from anything I've ever seen before. So as the name suggests, the Connector is designed to connect the arms and the body, and one of the best places to start with this device is just making small swings, whether that's chipping or slightly longer pitching swings. Can really start to get a sense of how this device can be used to enhance multiple parts of your game. So as I set up towards the ball with the Connector between my arms, one of the first things I can notice is where these rods point, which really is giving me an insight into how I'm aiming my upper body. This is one of the setup pieces I see so many amateur golfers get wrong, especially as they get towards the longer clubs, and most certainly with the driver. Getting the upper body misaligned, where the arms are not pointing in the right direction, is, as I say, one of the key mistakes I see people make. And yet this simple idea of looking down at the rod, being able to align the rods correctly at setup, getting to this neutral condition with my arms, is going to allow me to deliver the club in a more consistent fashion. I really like this simple feature to this product. I think it will help a lot of people who don't realize they're making this mistake. The next thing to consider is just thinking about how that connection from the Connector works with moving this front rod in conjunction with the club head. So as I'm moving my body both on the backswing and the follow through, I'm really trying to get a sense that this front rod that's pointing out the front of the device is following my hands and my club. That's the connection that we're looking for when we're hitting these pitch shots. And then the additional benefit you get from hitting with something like this between your arms is that radius management, keeping the arms straight, which makes the quality and the consistency of the contact more likely. Extremely important for all shots, but especially important when you're hitting these pitch shots, which have to go a certain distance. So now let's progress to a longer club. This is a 7-iron, and you still have the same benefits at setup that I talked about with that shorter pitch shot with regards to the alignment aid of the arms. The further forward a golfer puts the ball position, which typically happens mostly with the driver, the more the arms tend to aim to the left, which moves the swing direction across. Use the bar on the ball to square off the forearms and get the point of the front rod here going more down towards the ball. You could really influence the overall path of your swing just by how you organize the arms at setup. If I get the rod to point more to the right, I'm going to encourage a more in-to-out path. And as I've already mentioned, if the rod points too much to the left, I'm going to be encouraging an out-to-in path. You can use that feature with every single club in your bag to help you get your upper body aligned correctly. A common mistake that so many miss, and it's much easier to see when you're using the Connector. But where I think this device really starts to come into its own and separates itself from other similar training aids on the market is how we can use this center rod that runs through the middle of the ball to train good arm and elbow structure at the top of the swing. How the elbows and forearms are organized completely changes the pitch of the shaft. So many golfers suffering from steep shafts coming down because they don't know how to organize their arms and elbows correctly. Using the rod that goes through the center of the Connector, you can get a sense of exactly how you're supposed to move your arms. Let me elaborate on that in more detail. As I move the club back into the early backswing, you'll notice how the right side of the connector ball is higher than the left. That's correct. I've got this rod at a slight angle, and that would be something that I would encourage you to notice and feel. That would stop the golfer from excessively rolling the forearms and getting the club behind them. This is a very common mistake and a picture that I see in a lot of high handicap golfers. Rolling the forearms excessively in the early backswing. You see how the rod now would have the left side of this ball higher than the right side. We want it to be the other way around. So in the initial backswing, you can get a very clear sense and feel for how that should look with the arms and the forearms at this point in time. But we don't want to keep that alignment. We don't want to keep the rod higher on the right side than the left when we reach the top. That would cause a whole host of problems across the line and steepening of the shaft. What we actually want is to take this rod and now make the left side higher than the right. That would get this trail arm into external rotation, a feeling that many of you struggle to understand. But if you just look at this ball, I've got the left side higher than the right. That gets the arm structure how I want it. If the right side was higher than the left, I'd be steepening the shaft. So having a sense of how that rod sits on the forearms will give you the sense of exactly how to move that club in transition and into the downswing. And honestly, once I've got it here, I can just turn through the ball. It feels very, very instinctive and very natural to just deliver that club on plane. It's a great device from that point of view. There's nothing else out there I've seen that really helps to train that arm and elbow structure at the top and in transition. So setting up, getting the connector aligned at setup to neutralize my path, just get a sense of that connection on both the takeaway and just into the follow through. See how the club, the ball and my body are all working together. Now I can go ahead, keep squeezing this ball, get a sense of laying that rod flat across my forearms, or even having my right elbow a little bit lower than the left. That's the sensation I'm going with. And I'll go ahead and hit one out there. I honestly think that so many golfers would benefit from a training aid like this that helps keep their arms together. There's no greater training aid that I recommend than something for people to hold between their arms when they practice, whether that's via in-person lessons or lessons that I give online via the Skillist platform. I ask people to put something between their arms more than any other training aid. The benefits you get from having something controlling your arm structure cannot be overstated. If you like the idea of this product and you'd like to get more information, I'll put a link in the description below. There's also a discount code you can use to get 10% off. And if you do buy, you'll be supporting the channel, which I'll be most grateful for. And the final benefit I want to share with you for this training aid is with the driver, a club that I know many of you struggle with. And most of the time you're struggling because you're not getting your body alignment correct at setup. That often happens because as we put the ball further forward in our stance for the driver, which we're supposed to do, it encourages the golfer to open up their shoulders. You can see here how my arms and my shoulders are actually aiming to the left of the target. If we look at the connector tool, we see the middle rod is pointing to the left. We see this front rod here pointing out, not at the ball or behind the ball, it's actually pointing in front of the golf ball, giving me the sensation that I'm going to swing across the ball. This is an extremely common mistake that so many golfers make, and yet they don't see it because they can't get that visualization of where to point their arms and where to point the ball. So as I set up to this incorrectly, I can take this front rod and move it from a position where it's pointing in front of the golf ball, which would undoubtedly have me swinging down and across, very inefficient for the driver, to a point where it's pointing at or even slightly behind the ball. Now, as I organize my upper body differently, it's going to feel my shoulders are more closed than they were, and that's correct. And now I've got this tool helping me to organize and align my upper body. Look at the path and the direction that my club wants to work on now. So take your setup, point the stick behind the ball, and go ahead and smash a drive out there. All the benefits of what we spoke about already with keeping the arms close together, but with the arms aligned more correctly at setup, I'm going to be able to deliver that club from the inside. That's going to help me draw the ball. It's going to help me add yards to my drive. If you struggle with the driver, and particularly if you slice the ball, find you lose distance with this club, then simply getting your upper body correctly aligned and organised set up could be the change you need to transform this club. I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you'd like to learn more about keeping your arms straight, then you can check out the video I made here, which is the one I share more than any other on my channel with my online students that I teach on Skillist. Or if you want to learn more about how to hit this driver a bit further than you currently do, then you can check out the video that I made here next.